So I have a video and it covers how to work on your chaos campaign and get gems or the shards to make the gems in alchemy. I think I just kind of quickly went over putting them onto your items in the forge. Mentioned that you can only use them on certain types of items, depending on the type of offensive or defensive gem that you get. So now I'd like to talk about the gems themselves. You can see all your gems in your keep actually. If I can remember where that is. That might be in the alchemy ingredients. Yeah, so like down here towards the end. All of the loose ones, I think. And then your shards are shown here in the alchemy section as well. The parts for your unbind stones, even. Because they're all alchemy components. Your chaos gems are components for higher gems, so your legendary ones are not, so I'm not sure why they would technically show in here. Regardless, if you go to the forge, it'll show you which chaos gems you can apply depending on whether they're offensive or defensive, and if the item that you're trying to attach them to allows for offensive, defensive, or both types of gems. But in the refine section, if you go to your keep, you have the option to refine gems, and it'll list all the gems that you have, including the ones that are on items. So apparently I've got like 7 of these old gems that I'm still using. And it tells you where you're using it in this little pop-up. So I have this common defensive gem of Earth Protection on my Elite Dragon Slayer cowl. And it gives Earth Resistance 1.4%. I'll just click on this and it'll come up on the top here. So in white, Earth Resistance, purple, a crit strike chance on monsters, and blue is a balanced general boost. Each of these colors has a meaning. Just like you have common, rare, epic, and then legendary gems, you have common white powers, blue rare powers, purple for epic powers, and then you get this gold or orange for legendary powers. But one thing that's important to know is that this is the range that's allowed on this level of crystal or gem. So 39 earth resistance on a common gem, this is not very much. If I have a rare one, I'm looking at 93 earth resistance. This is a rare epic level power on a rare gem. And then if I have let's see if I can find very earth protection. Okay. So this is a epic power on an epic gem. 146 versus only 93 epic on a rare, and a common on a common it's only 39. So as you get a more powerful gem, then the strength of the abilities goes up. And these are broken up into different levels or different ranges on each of these gems. So each gem will start out, this first power will either be an elemental resistance or elemental offense. And that's used in the name of the gem itself, right? So this is plus 92 to wind pierce. So this is a offensive crystal of wind fury, a rare one because it's a rare level gem. And then these, all three of these are random powers that are assigned to it. It's just that the first one will be some kind of elemental resistance or offense. So you can go into the wiki and you can see the powers for gems. So it starts out with the piercing or resistance, and then you have like this long list of powers. Well, maybe it's not that long. That are randomly assigned to each gem. So you can get physical resistance and piercing, and you can get these on items that don't necessarily make sense. So you could have an elemental earth piercing gem with physical resistance and a bonus to base attack. And then you're limited to having these defensive powers put onto an item that can only take an offensive chaos gem. So these things can be kind of weird, but if you look at forge, because over time just add more items. So they have this angel sword, I believe this was 100 versus 100 rewards. So it has fire resistance, water resistance, wind resistance. So if you want to have a defensive item to put on to your loadouts, you would need to find an offensive chaos gem, because the swords only accept offensive gems, and then you could hope to have defensive powers on that offensive gem so that they'll add up or contribute to your resistances while you're defending. So that would be one case where generally you want an offensive gem with your offensive items, so you want to have a bonus to attack and a bonus to physical piercing, for instance, or a bonus to critical chance, because you're trying to put on a sword and you're trying to max out your attack strength. But there are cases where you may want the exact opposite, but you still have to have a offensive gem, so you want to find these weird combinations to work out. So you have this list. Generally, I like these physical pierce and resistances. I have good attack and defense, so I like the base attack and defense bonuses. If you have really high level generals, then these boosts to the generals are good. I'm not sure I really have anyone that benefits a great deal from these. Divine power. This bonus only applies while you have that item active. So you'd want to use your loadouts to make sure you're getting this bonus. Actually, all of these powers, your elemental powers and all these additional powers, they only work if you have the item active on your character. And that means either you gotta go into your equipment and then set these to whatever you want, click save, or equip gear set. and then it'll show up on the top here as active. Even better, I always pushed using loadouts, because then you could have up to 30 different combinations of heroes, pets, class, abilities, and equipment. And this really is the primary way that you should be using the your runes and your chaos gems to make sure you're getting the benefits from them. Because just because they show up on the top here doesn't mean that you're actually going to get the bonus. So this test loadout, which I've been using, I have no equipment set for it. So if I go to my keep normally, this is my defense loadout, and I've got all of these elemental powers going. If I just go to this test setup, now I have these pieces of equipment in use. I refresh this, and now almost all of those are gone. It's got like some token stuff showing up. So you really do need to make sure you're getting your stuff into your loadouts in order to benefit from any of these powers. But your divine power, I mean, normally your divine items show up in your divine item section, but from the chaos gem, they do not go in here, so you will not be able to see it. So these, you know, it picks the strongest one for each slot and just adds it in to make your total. Like at the moment I have 1,045. But if I have this divine power bonus from a gem added onto some item, then this is going to add into this divine power only when it's active. So I can have a loadout where I have a divine power bonus on a gem so that I can bypass the defense of a particular monster. But in general, I don't think this is a good power, even though I go over all of that. The guild coding bonus is handy. I don't like this energy to defense, because you're going to level up at some point and you're going to lose some energy, and that's just annoying. Then of course you have several things just to improve your class abilities. Warriors get Whirlwind, rogues can get a bonus to evade, clerics can get a bonus to heal or mass heal, and mages can get a bonus to polymorph. And crit strike, which is always good to have. So going back to refine, you have these powers, and the powers are appropriate for that level of gem, and then you have the bracket that the power is in for that particular gem. So like this rare gem has 3 epic level powers that are in the rare range. So if you were looking at the Chaos campaign, I got 92 Wind Pierce. For epic, actually I have a rare one, so let me look, 92. So that comes up in the low range here for the rare, at the epic level for a rare gem. But if I had an epic gem, the low end for a common one is already 125, which is 30% better than what I have allowed for a rare gem. And if I manage to get a rare level power on a epic gem, it would start at 147. So it's like 50 more than the rare gem at that same bracket. And you can see the commons are just significantly lower. And if you manage to get a legendary one, it is significantly higher. So when you see these colors, like I say, they have some meaning. But this refine function is to refine gems. So, and you can refine everything, every gem, even ones that are already attached to an item. In this one, I have like 3 epic powers. I don't want to mess with it. So I can take this one. I see it's not on anything because it doesn't have a line showing it. Right, like the yellow line here showing spirit metal for this particular gem. And I can see here I've got water pierce, I got defensive general boost, and I have a bonus to poly. And the whole purpose of refine is to change the values of these 3 abilities. And when you refine it, it could go up or it could go down. So I already have this defense general boost at an epic level, and it's going for an offensive function. So this is already kind of a weird combination. So in order to refine, you need these refined crystals. At the moment I've got almost 3,100, and I get these from hitting the world monster. The world monster comes up twice a day when the Coliseum is not running at the same time the Coliseum would normally start. The monster is active for 30 minutes, and you get ranked by the damage that you do, and based on your rank you will earn refined crystals. So if you're below 1,000 you'll get 1 refined crystal. If you're in the top 1,000 but below the top 100 you'll get 2 refined crystals. So normally what I try to do is I hit for about 30k damage, and that puts me solidly in the top 1,000, and it only takes 1 to 3 stamina to get to that target. So it's easy to accomplish, but you have to be around when the monster's there, and you have to be around to collect at the end. And even when you're dumping your stamina into the monster, you have a chance of getting a refined crystal. And if you're doing the meteorite event, then there's a chance for refined crystals to drop while you're hitting. And there are rewards in a bunch of different events, so they're not too hard to get, but if you're trying to max out a gem, you could easily spend 1,000 on it. And I'll show you why. Let's see, look at this one instead. Because this one already has a legendary power on it, and I don't want to give that up. If I try to refine now, it'll give me a warning. Are you sure you want to refine this property? I do not want to drop this water piercing. Because if you look, this is an epic gem with a legendary water pierce, and if you look at this table, it is the maximum attack you can get for your elemental piercing. So I would, why did I get rid of this and go back? So normally what happens, I just like pick a random gem maybe and show. Okay, so this one has two rare powers, and this one's a crappy power I don't like, and this I don't really care about much. So like, I'll just refine it. You have these locks here, which are important. Something don't seem right. Okay. It shows the cost here. It was showing four gems for some reason. So normally it's just one gem. It will change all these powers. You don't change these powers to something else. You just increase or decrease the strength of the power each time you refine. Right, so now I suddenly have, I still have the rare wind pierce, but the value is probably changed. I wasn't watching that close. I have a balanced general boost, which is now at the epic level, and I have a common trap energy to defense thing. But like, suppose I wanted to keep a power, right? I like this legendary power, so I hit this lock on the side here. So now it increases the cost to refine to 2 refine crystals. And this is where it starts to get expensive. Because I want to max these out, I don't want to have just like some podunk rare abilities on it. I certainly don't want common ones, but these are still not as good as I could get, so I would just like keep refining. So every time, right now I'm going through two refined crystals, and I'm trying to get up to like epic on these things. And I'm basically just ignoring what these do, because I can just look at the color and I know that they aren't what I want. I want to see purple like I have here. 36 health with heal ability. So what I do is I go back to the Wikipedia and I look at this. 36 health with heal. So I'll go down, I have an epic gem, and I'm looking at this heal ability. And it was 36, wasn't it? Yeah, 36. So it's at the bottom of this range. So if I keep trying to get into this range, there is a really good chance that I'll end up with a higher power than what I currently have. I might have to do it a lot. So like, since I have this one and it's not locked, it'll ask me if I want to refine it again. I'll confirm it, sorry. You sure you want to do this? Yes, I do. So now I got 38, and 38 was not the max, but is better. So now I want to keep this one. I keep the pierce, I keep the healing, and now the cost to refine has gone up to 4. So then I would just like keep doing this. I would try to get this guild coin bonus up to the epic level. And I wouldn't have to do this today. I could like do it at some other point. But this is why you can burn through a lot. So now I have 7.4 guild coin bonus. If I go here, guild coin bonus for an epic, and I have 7.4, so that is near the max. It probably goes to 7.9, and they just don't have data showing it. Because these tables aren't, the tables are fairly reliable, but they aren't 100% accurate. I mean, some of the ranges, they just don't have the values for it. So one thing that you might notice if you're doing this a lot, you have a gem like this, 7% to base defense. If you have these base defense or base attack bonuses on the third line, they will always be whole numbers. If you have them on the second line, they could have decimal values after them. So you're kind of being shortchanged a bit when it's on this bottom line compared to what you could have gotten if it were on the second. Because you could have, both the base attack bonus and base defense bonus, or they could be reversed, and one of them will be a little bit stronger. Okay, so you can see different levels of gems, each with different levels of abilities, which are, you can see based on the color. But even though you have higher level abilities on these weaker gems, they won't be as strong as maybe even a weaker power on a stronger gem. So generally you're just like moving up in your power by getting stronger gems. So working on the common gems just to get started might seem okay, but you would ultimately just scrap them out. If you put them on to an item, you'll salvage it to move the rune, and you won't want to keep that gem because it's so weak, so you won't use Unbind Stone on it, so you'll end up losing it. But if you had just worked towards the epic gems, you wouldn't go through losing these things. Or if you just don't put the common ones on anything and you save them for upgrading, like if you're getting your daily spins and your prizes and you're getting enough common and rare shards to boost, to make these gems, you can just use them to make better gems that you would want to actually use. And when you do these, the alchemy, what I'm usually looking for on the rare, I don't care. Any common gems I use, even if they have what I consider awesome abilities at this point, I'm just going to throw them into this alchemy to get a rare. Likewise, I'll do the same for any rare gems I have. I'll just do this alchemy to convert them to an epic chaos gem. But if I'm actually trying to get a legendary, I'm still using the epic gem. So what I'll end up doing is I'll try to get the crappier ones. Things that I have not upgraded, things I don't actually like. Like this energy to defense gem. If it had like bonuses just to balance and aggressive channels, for instance, or if it had divine power bonus, things I don't really care about, then I could just like throw it in here, and these would be gems that I consider garbage, and I'll upgrade them into a legendary gem that hopefully has better powers on it, because those powers are going to be random, and they could suck. And then they have, in the refine, they have added this reshape option. Right, because when you refine it, you're stuck with these same three abilities. You're just making them weaker or stronger when you refine it. If you go into reshape, you can only reshape the gems that aren't attached, it looks like. I have not actually used this. But, you see I have this gem I don't like because it has native energy plus defense. If I reshape this, it gets three completely different powers attached to it. It'll still be epic, it's just that it will have different powers. It'll cost one of these refined stones, and it looks like it'll cost some enhanced crystals too. Oh no, refined crystals. But this is a way to get better gems without upgrading. And these Reshape Stones come from the Mystic Emporium. If you go into the Nightmare section, which is added sometime last year, you get these rare Reshape Stones or epic or legendary Reshape Stones, and these are going to cost Nightmare crystals. Currently I got 18,000 of these because I haven't been using that many. Also in here like pets and some of the drops you get from the monsters actually, so you can get them your legendary alchemies completed faster. But you have to do the Nightmare monsters, which I will probably try to do a video about maybe tomorrow. Essentially, you can summon the monster, and then you just you can assist in slaying it. This is just like doing the siege, and you get some crystals for it. If you complete the quest, basically that's what you're getting crystals for. Use Nightmare Siege on 5, you get 1,000 crystals. Assist in slaying a Nightmare friend rare, get 300 crystals. And that goes back to like in your public list. There's when they added them, they were in this high tier, and they were like flooding it, and you could never find any of these other monsters. So they put them off into their own Nightmare tier. There's only 2 different types of Nightmare monsters at the moment. The Draculia and the friend rare, and you have like different quests for both of these. And doing the quest, you'll get your Nightmare crystal, so that you can work on your Reshape Stones. I have not actually done this yet, and I may never actually get to it, to be honest. But I do the refine. If I find something good and I want to use it, like this one with the epic water pierce, and now I got like these or legendary water pierce and all these epic powers on it. This is looking pretty good, and I could put it onto a shield, maybe. It'd be tempting to put it on a weapon just because it's an offensive gem. But it's not going to help me beat people. It's just things I do while I'm healing or sitting idle, depending. So maybe at some point I'll get it onto something. So I have gone over what kind of powers you can get from your chaos gems, and I emphasized using a load house to make sure that you actually get those benefits from the gem, because that's what you've worked hard to accomplish. I mentioned or showed how you have like different ranges for different levels of chaos gems. Kind of suggest which things I actually consider important. These general boosts are to the attack and defense of your general that's active as the master. And I think it is just the the general itself, right? You have an alliance, hopefully, but the boost goes to the base attack and defense of the general, not including the alliance. And I don't know if that would affect the equipment set bonus. Um, it probably wouldn't really matter either way mathematically. But this is something that you have high level generals who are like level 3000 player. Your general is level 75. You got like 3 of them, and you just have really high stats, so that these will boost it quite a bit, right? Potentially up to 10%. But much lower for some of us without legendary items to use. So these are important. Um, the piercing, you need it for some monsters, and some monsters it's actually a hindrance because they have resistance to a particular element, and then you'll have to try and remove that bonus. So case in point, using my loadouts, of course. I have my normal crit set up. This is what I use when I want to fight most monsters, though I actually changed to king because I gotta do a lot of damage. But down here I have like the shadow one. I focus more on crit, and then I got different objects, different items with different gems, so that I don't have penalties to my damage, so I don't have penalties for the elements, and I have enough physical piercing to get through. So like this normal load I have for hunting is 319 physical pierce, and it's got fire and earth. When I go down to this shadow loadout, I don't know if that's like Phantom of Shadows, or I use it for Fenrir now, or these Nightmare monsters. So I have the piercing up to 400 because that's the minimum needed. And I don't have the wind and earth offense because I think that will run into problems with the resistances on the monster, so I'll do less damage. So that's some things to consider with your chaos gems. Sometimes they'll be bad for you. Usually you want to get high in player versus player, and in most monsters it won't really be an issue, but sometimes it is bad. And that's why you want to use loadouts, and you have an eye on what kind of bonuses you're getting. And then if you really wanted to, you don't have to have your runes on everything. I mean, in fact, you can only have them on one thing. You could actually have a loadout where you're using specifically items that will add to heal or crit, or one of these other powers here, more likely crit. You could have a set of equipment just with gold coin bonuses, and you can use these items on more than one loadout, but you can be like, hey, this item's got guild coin bonus and the polymorph bonus, like that one I was showing. So I have a loadout just for polymorph, and I have that. Make sure I use that chaos gem somewhere in that loadout, and then have another loadout to collect guild coins after battles. And I have a bunch of items that get bonuses to guild coins, so that I do get a little bit more from guild battles that way. Yeah, I don't actually do that, but it's something that any player could do, or mass heal or whirlwind or any of these things. You can try to have a set just to max out some of these powers if you have enough items and enough gems to do it. But I imagine if you're working on legendary items and you want to start putting gems in them, then you might, give up a lot of epic gems just to get those legendaries. But anyways, mostly wanted to focus on just the powers for the gems, how to, refine gems to make them stronger, the potential to reshape them, and mention the alchemy to get higher level gems. So I'm pretty sure I covered all of that in this video, so hopefully it's useful.